Hi there, it's your brain body Bible coach. I wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to regulate your nervous system with a family versus maybe regulating your nervous system by yourself or with you and just a partner or a spouse. There are definitely differences when it comes to regulating the nervous system and how much stress we have on our plate already. What I have noticed with people or clients that I have that are single or they're single with a partner, they tend to regulate their nervous system a little bit quicker because they don't have all these other pieces of the puzzle to deal with as far as children go. I mean, it's not always the case. It just depends on how much trauma a person's been through or how much chronic stress a person has been through. But one thing I have noticed is that a lot of people who are single, they're able to focus a lot more on incremental training. They have a whole lot more bandwidth to work on themselves and their values, and they don't have to worry about tiny little humans running around. So that's just something I've noticed, but it's not always the case, right? There's still some people that might take a longer time to recover if they are single. It just depends on the person. But I can speak from a standpoint on what it has been like to regulate my nervous system with children and a spouse. And let me tell you, it's been a journey. But I am so grateful that I have stuck with this journey. I'm so grateful that I kept going even when it was really hard. I did not realize that it was going regulating my nervous system would take as long as it has, and I'm still in the process of regulation. But one thing I am realizing is that when you have a family, you're not only dealing with your nervous system and regulating it, you're also dealing with your children, and they're kind of like their own little limbic systems. So you're trying to heal your own limbic system, and you've got one or two or three or four or five, however many kids you have their little limbic systems too. So, excuse me, they tend to pick up on whatever your energy is and what you are going through, and your regulation, whether you're in sympathetic dominant or dorsal vagal or freeze. They tend to pick up on that, and then they kind of mirror what they see you doing. And so I've noticed on this journey with kids, the one thing that I always recommend people who have a family is make sure when you start regulating your nervous system very early on in recovery, especially, you really, really need a lot of extra help. You need to ask for help. You need to ask for help with maybe babysitting, maybe helping you cook dinner, maybe helping with, errands. If you have the help, you really need to ask for help. I know some people don't, and it could be harder to do this journey without the help. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. But ask for help if you have children, especially while regulating your nervous system. We need help. There's a reason why they say it takes a village to raise a family. It takes a village to raise kids. It's so true. But when you're like healing a brain and a nervous system, think about how much help we do need, especially early on. So for me, very early on in recovery, my dad had helped me a lot, and my husband helped me a lot. And so I was pretty much not available for my children for the first 18 months, a year to 2 years. I would say hello and I would like give them hugs, but I was constantly working on my nervous system tools. I was constantly working on getting back to some normal brain function. And so that was really hard. It was hard not to be able to be with my children and to raise them for those, year to 2 years after having my limbic injury. But I had to have the help. There's no way I could have done this journey without the help. So ask for help if you need it. Definitely ask for help. Another thing is to really just work on being so loving and so kind to yourself, because not only are you regulating, like I said, but you are also helping your kids regulate. And so they're going to go through the dips with you. They're going to go through the ebbs with you. They're going to through the flows with you, especially in those ebbs when the kids ebb with you. It can be very, very, very challenging. It can be very challenging. But you will get through it, and your kids will get through it too, and your family will get through it. It's so worth the journey. So keep going. If it's really hard, know that it's hard for a reason. It's because you're up leveling, and your kids are healing too. So I know, like for me, I came in with quite a few food sensitivities, and my oldest daughter had really bad food sensitivities. And now, because I have healed and regulated my nervous system, I have full food freedom. She is like super close to full food freedom. She got back potatoes in her life. She got back dairy in her life. Doctors say she would never eat those. Doctors told me I'd never eat those. That's just not true. I can eat whatever I want now. And my oldest daughter is starting to eat gluten again for the first time. So there's so much to be said about regulating the nervous system. And so just remember to give yourself so much love and compassion on this journey as you regulate your nervous system with children. Another thing is to make sure, really, really work hard and not putting your kids' needs before your own. You guys, this is crucial. In order to recover, in order to get back full brain function, in order to get back to living life, you have to focus on your own recovery. You have to focus on yourself. If you keep fawning, it's called the fawn response. If you keep fawning, you're not going to make much headway in recovery, because this journey is about self-discovery. It's about building the capacity in our nervous system. It's about living on purpose, living in our values. And if we're constantly taking care of everybody else and we don't take care of us, we're not going to heal. So please make sure, if you start noticing that as you're trying to heal, you're constantly trying to, take care of everybody else and you're not meeting your own needs, you're not going to recover. So make sure that you are focusing on your recovery. You're doing the 5 pillars. If you're doing DNRS, you're doing the 5 pillars. If you're doing, Dr. Katz's program with Regulate, make sure you are doing your tools, showing up for yourself every day, meeting yourself, making sure you have plenty of time for yourself. So, so important. And then the other thing I want to talk about is incremental training versus incidental training. One thing I've noticed on my own journey of recovery is that I've had a very tough time with incremental training. Why? Because I haven't really had a lot of bandwidth, because I have a family to take care of as well. So one thing I've noticed as I've healed and recovered is I had to kind of put incremental training aside, and I had to really focus more on incidental training, which means whatever came up in my life, that's how I was rewiring my brain. That's how I was rewiring my nervous system. And I'm still doing that mostly. I still do a little bit of incremental training, but I am growing and learning and growing more capacity every day in my nervous system because of things that I go through on a day-to-day life with my kids. So like, kids are home sick, right? I'm rewiring, I'm growing. Kids are not home. It's there's just constantly things happening with my kids and my family that I'm doing more and more and more incidental training. Where some people who are single, who are single maybe with a partner, they're able to really focus on incremental training. Maybe they don't have as much stressors in their life, so they're able to every day, maybe go for a drive and work their way up and build their way up. And maybe they do less incidental training. So it's very different. One thing I've noticed with families, when people who are rewiring with families, it's a lot harder to incrementally train because you already have so much on your plate as a family. So you are working at building the bandwidth or the capacity in your nervous system just to handle your family. And so these are just some things I have noticed while rewiring with a family and working with people who have a family versus working with people who don't have a family. It may take longer if you have a family, but it's okay. You're worth it. You're worth your recovery. And like I said, some people who are single, it might take them a long time too to recover. It just depends. Just depends on everybody's life situations, their environments that they're living in, and how much they're putting in the work, and if other, major life events happen while rewiring your brain that could, prolong your recovery a little bit. But it's okay because you're worth it. You keep showing up for yourself, you stay committed, and you don't quit. Never, ever, ever give up. Keep going, keep going, keep going.